Hey everyone, it's James.
And Stephanie, and we are not in Lance.
That's right, we're calling it EKKO.
Testy.
Testy, that's right, I named it Testy. So for those of you who don't know, the EKKO, the Winnebago EKKO, is now in production.
Yay!
And so we rolled up to Iowa, and they sent us off in this.
Yep, so this is a pre-production EKKO, and we are just test camping in it. So we are going to just talk about our first impressions of actual camping in it. We've been in it just under a week now.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot to say, a lot of opinions.
But we haven't done any real detailed testing or anything like that, so don't expect that.
We're trying to camp and have fun.
We're trying to be people, not those people. Anyway, so let's get to it. All right, well, since we're kind of set up right here now in the galley and the dinette, let's start by talking about those.
Okay, well, so we started with taking all our stuff out of Lance, our camper van, and transferring it over here to the EKKO. And what we found is we've got plenty more space than we had in Lance's galley. We have room left over.
Yeah, it's just not terribly well organized space. So like some of the drawers, or not the drawers, but like the cabinets.
Yeah.
If this were our coach, I'll be planning to put a shelf in there so we can actually get more things in there and not have them kind of jumbled up.
Yeah, there's a lot of wasted space in the top because some of these cabinets are really tall. So if we could get a shelf in there, we can use that upper space and we can get our stuff more organized because right now it's all just kind of jumbled in there, packed in.
Right, and we wound up putting most of our food in this pantry over the dinette, and even that could use some storage just to, again, to get more levels of things in there.
And there's this little hidden pantry behind the seat here, and you can get a ton of stuff in here. I was surprised at how much stuff you can really get in here.
Yeah. What we found is that was best for like stuff that you want to get to frequently and often, like coffee.
Yeah, because it's just so easily accessible.
Yeah.
So anything you're taking out a lot is handy in that.
So now, what'd you think about the fridge?
Yeah, the fridge was fine. It's not as big as the one we have in Lance.
It's not as big.
But we're spoiled with that. But it's plenty big.
Yeah.
And the one thing I didn't like about the fridge is the freezer is high and it also opens, top to bottom. So you got to stand on your tippy toes if you're shorter. But I'll adjust. I can still access it. It's fine. It's just different.
Yeah.
So I got to get used to that.
One thing I did notice about the fridge that I liked is this fridge has a night mode.
Oh yeah.
And so you hit the night mode button and then it kind of goes into this super quiet mode. Now the fridge in Lance, I can hear when we're in bed, right? When the compressors kick on. This one in night mode, I didn't hear it when it was on at night.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a nice feature to have. And so if you're a light sleeper, you'll like that.
Yeah. The microwave.
The microwave. So I struggled with the microwave at first. I don't know. I was pushing. I'm not very technical. And so at some point I thought I pushed one start and it was at 3 minutes and 17 seconds.
I think she hit like baked potato or something.
I don't know. It was my first time using it. James then used it and it works fine. So I think it was just user error. But the water, I boiled a mug of water in it. Super fast compared to Lance's, like by a minute faster.
The one thing I noticed about the microwave, kind of like the freezer in the fridge, the microwave is a bit high up there. So like if you'll probably wind up with a very dirty bottom on the microwave and you won't even know that you've spilled stuff in there because it's kind of high up unless you're taller.
Yeah, and so you'll be on your tippy toes, but you can see in there, or I can at my height. I'm 5'6", but I guess I'll adjust to that. Taller. There's always compensations for getting the small space, and they had to raise some things up so everything could fit. So if that's a sacrifice I have to make standing on my tippy toes, that one I'm okay with.
Okay. So big windows. So a lot of people have said, they're missing a window in that door. Yeah. But with windows, big windows here and here, I didn't really feel like it was that closed off.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't either, especially with all the windows up front. You're real close to the cab windows as well. So
and if you're really feeling closed in, you could open that door and just leave the screen open,
which is so nice to do.
So all right, so now moving it over to the dinette. The dinette seats, they're pretty comfortable. I probably spent more time here than Stef did, and they're pretty comfortable. They lean back in adequate amount. I didn't find myself thinking
they don't. They're in one position.
Right. But it's already leaned back. You don't lean them anymore. And yeah, I thought they were pretty decent, and I spent quite a bit of time here.
Yeah, there was some conversations over on the EKKO Owners and Wannabes group about them compared to Sola seats, and some people thought that they were identical to the Sola seats, but when you see a side-by-side comparison, there's some differences. They have a similar look, especially the headrest, but they're padded a lot differently. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as far as working from the road, which is primarily what I did from this area, I thought it was pretty decent. Now, I did wind up kind of sitting between the two seats, but I didn't really notice that I was like sitting on a crack or anything like that. That was fine. And there was good access to like the power outlets that were right up above the dinette table.
Yeah,
so I thought it was fine for working.
So the table is a little shorter. It doesn't go all the way to the edge of both of the dinette seats.
People have noticed that.
Yeah, and that's a concern for some people. How'd you think?
We thought that was okay because it makes it a lot easier to get from the cab seats into the back of the coach. If the table was much longer, you'd have to like you'd shimmy to get by the table, and you don't have to do that with the shorter table. So I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, we had to do that shimmy in Lance, and so that was one of the things that we noticed in here is that we can just walk through no problem, no turning sideways to walk by the EKKO table. So Winnebago, don't make this table any bigger.
All right, now since we're talking about tables, I'm going to throw it back at you. What did you think of that Lagoon table over there?
Okay, well, I'm lukewarm on the Lagoon table. I mean, it works great and all, but it blocked the door. So, it would either be, behind my seat, or we would just kind of have it off to the side. And then we found that we were never using the door. So
that could be just because we're weird van people and we're not used to a regular door. But the entire time we had it, we did not open that door.
I know. I mean, I get what Winnebago is doing. They're trying to give more counter space. They're trying to give another dinette or remote working spot for a second person. I get that, but I think I would rather us have a smaller table. So, but also you can store it back. So we have it right now, right here. It's behind the seats because we wanted it out of the way.
And then you could use the door.
Yeah.
So smaller table there, I think, would be our vote. And then this table kind of leave at the size that it is.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to kind of wrap up the galley and the dinette.
So the bathroom and the showering.
Yeah, so this is kind of a unique bathroom and shower. We haven't seen it over here, but we see it in Europe sometimes. So it's like a pivoting wall, so it's either in bathroom mode or it's in shower mode. And what we found is that pretty much works as designed. When it's in bathroom mode, you don't see or notice the shower stuff in there. And when you take a shower, the rest of the bathroom stays kind of dry, protected by that wall.
Yeah, so it's not quite a wet bath. It's not exactly a dry bath. It's like something totally new.
Yeah, it's either one or the other, but not both at the same time,
it's a
which
good
a wet
use of
bath
space.
would be.
So the showering, if you're coming from a van and you're showering in an EKKO, it is such an awesome experience. First off, there's 50 gallons of fresh water that you've got to work with. So you're not going to be all stressed out like you are in your van of quick wet yourself down and quick turn off the water and then soap up and then take another 10 seconds and rinse off. None of that. You can shower more like you're in a home, and it's so luxurious.
She actually washed her hair.
I know, and in Lance, I can count on my hands the number of times I washed my hair in Lance.
A lot of ponytails.
Yeah, my hair's going to be down. See, my hair's down now. It's going to be down a lot more.
The Truma AquaGo worked as designed. Instant hot water, I think just like a second or so when we had the recirculating thing going. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a nice treat.
Plenty hot. I think as far as clean, a lot of people have asked about cleaning it off when you're done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to close up the water on the way. And so I think we'll probably get a squeegee and squeegee off the walls behiand there before we close that up.
But they don't butt exactly up to each other, that pivoting wall. There's a gap. There's an air gap back there.
Yeah. And we'll probably also get a clothesline or something to dry towels with maybe.
Yeah.
And speaking of towels, be careful when you put towels. There's some towel hooks in the back of that pivoting wall.
Yeah.
Be careful when you put towels on there, because if you put like a big, thick, luxurious Turkish bath towel on there, you probably couldn't get the
wall shut.
Yeah.
There's not big enough gap there to make the magnets hit. Yeah. So we have some thin towels, and that worked with those thin ones.
That worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay. The sink, when you have it pivoted back around in sink mode.
Yeah.
So I was very glad to have the pump switch right there in the bathroom. Winnebago put
yes,
it was
handy
an addition
to have that pump switch.
Added since the prototype. Now there's a pump switch there.
Yeah.
Now, I like to just kind of stick my face in the sink and wash it like that. It was a little small for that. I think the sink might have a big head, I guess. I don't know. But the sink was a little small for that. But it's fine in the space that you've got, right?
Yeah, it's fine. I found the sink a little small in there too, but if that's one of the sacrifices I have to make, no problem.
Yeah. All right, and so now finally, I guess we have to talk about the cassette toilet.
Ah, yes, the toilet.
Okay, so first, you do have to sit kind of sideways in order to be able to fit there. So those of you or people, planning on maybe trying, I want to replace it with an incinerating toilet or a composting toilet, you better get something where the head swivels around or you're going to have to amputate your legs or something to sit on the toilet.
Well, it'll be fun to see what people come up with, though.
Yeah. So now, for those of you who are completely new to RV toilets, like any RV toilet, before you use it, if you want to put some water in the bowl first, right? Because it doesn't normally have water in it. And that just helps things out. So there is a separate button you push to flush.
Right.
That
so
works like it's
you
supposed
can
to.
fill it with water that way, and then there's the lever for flushing.
The lever to flush, and then everything just drops down into the cassette. Now,
and if you've seen our cassette video from a few years back where we said we will never have a cassette toilet, well, this is what happens when you say never publicly.
She said
the fates will catch up to you.
Yeah. So the big problem we had with the cassette toilet years ago was the dumping. We liked everything else about it, honestly. So what we've learned is that if you use a lot more chemicals than what the manufacturer recommends, it's less gross.
Yeah.
And so for this trip, what we just used are Aquachem, just these drop-in packs. Now, granted, those little packs are meant to treat a 40-gallon tank, and this is a little 5-gallon cassette, so we're keeping our 8-to-1 ratio, but I think it worked out okay.
We're not suggesting you all do that. It's a little over the top using one of those packs in a tiny cassette.
But it worked. So we dumped it a rest area. I just kind of took it into the rest area, like a highway rest area, in the bathroom, and I just kind of dumped it into the toilet there, and I was able to do it without any splashing or anything. And no, you're not going to get video of that.
Well, and I've dumped before too, and a lot of people are concerned with the lifting of it, and really, when you're taking it out of the EKKO, it's more of a controlled fall. You're not really lifting it, then you're just controlling. You're pulling it out and controlling the drop. And then...
Think of it as like a negative curl.
Yes. Yeah, you build a lot of strength on the negative phase. So
there you go. And when we just did it dumped it in the rest area, I didn't bother rinsing it out because we were just putting it right back into service. So, it probably wasn't like super clean, but we haven't noticed any odors in the rig. We haven't.
That's true. And when we used it a few years ago, when we had all those problems and said we're never going to use one of the problems was we were getting some smells.
Yeah, certainly not as bad this time around.
Yeah.
Probably due to our excessive use of highly toxic chemicals.
So moving on to the bedroom. So the sleeping has been one of the highlights of being in the EKKO compared to our van lands.
It's pretty comfortable. Yeah. I gotta admit. So, all right, first thing, we all know the EKKO is very well insulated, and so the first night it actually got below freezing somewhere in Nebraska, and I didn't notice any cold spots along the wall or anything like that, and it was pretty quiet. I mean, it's fairly well insulated.
Yeah, it appears to be, and same with the windows. The dual pane windows seem to make a big difference for sound.
Those also, they keep it a lot quieter in here.
Yeah.
So now the beds. I don't know what Winnebago did with these mattresses and the wind sleep thing, but 2 thumbs up on that.
They're very comfortable. They're firm. I don't even know how to explain it. They're firm, but you kind of are cushiony on the top. Yeah. You just got to experience them.
Yeah,
they're really
try them out. You're not going to be disappointed. Now, sheet size. These are not exactly twin size beds. The sheets we had from our time in Parkey, we had left over some like massage table sheets actually, and they fit these beds really, really well. They fit better than they fit the beds in Parkey.
Yeah, the size worked out really well for those. We started with some yellow bedspreads. It was a a king bed that we had cut in half, and that's what we had at the beginning of the week on here. And that worked out pretty well. You didn't feel like it was wide enough for you?
No, yeah, I felt like every time I rolled over, I wound up uncovered. And so now we have proper twin size.
Yeah, and we just tuck them in all around.
The Go Snug blankets that we have, and we like those.
So in the EKKO group, there was a lot of concern about being able to lounge under the cabinet. So I can show you guys that right now. It really does work. You can lounge here and read no problem. So here I am lounging, and ta-da! I could read a book, no problem. And when I come up, you don't hit your head. It's not a problem. The cabinets aren't that deep.
Yeah,
so
no,
not a concern.
I'm not one to read in bed. I just stay up until I literally crash, and then I'm asleep in 10 seconds. So that doesn't bug me. Another thing I've heard people be concerned about is like this pedestal kind of thing in the corner of the bed. Like, is that going to take away a lot of room from the bed? You know, believe it or not, when you're asleep, you don't notice if there's like a 3-inch square cut out from the bottom of your perfect rectangle.
Yeah,
so that
we've already stopped seeing that, and I think that's something that happens too once you start living in it and using it. You stop seeing all those things that concerned you.
Yeah, and the corner of that bed is clipped a little bit. Did you notice?
No problem.
Anything from that?
Yeah, that's fine. So storage in here has been fantastic. We didn't fill these cabinets at all, and my cabinets under my bed are empty. Actually, there's nothing in them.
So I am probably going to, since we were able to come up with some place to put Mel and his litter box and stuff, I didn't have to give up my wardrobe for Mel, and so I've got that. I'm going to probably make myself some sort of drawers or something in that wardrobe space, because
it's a great idea.
I don't know about, I don't like to bring clothes that have to hang up when I'm like on vacation.
I do though. I would like to have some drawers. Can I have drawers in there and hang? Would that work in that space?
I don't know how I would do it.
We'll have to figure out something for my
It's kind of a one or the other sort of thing. Anyway, but the drawer that you do have, this big pull-out drawer down here, is really big. All socks, underpants, undershirts, that kind of thing, and some toiletries I had in my drawer, and I still had extra room.
Yeah, I had all my toiletries and all my electronics in there, and I still had extra room too, so it was nice.
In fact, you know, there's another storage compartment that's under your mattress, a little rectangular deep thing.
Right.
We never even looked into that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I said everything under my side of the bed is completely empty.
Yeah.
We just didn't use it.
Didn't even need it. So
so the bedroom is awesome. Lots of storage, comfy beds, and we're loving it.
All right, so let's talk about the chassis, because this is one area where things are quite a bit different from what we're used to in Lance. And the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about this is compared to Lance is, oh my gosh, the power this thing has. So much more capable than the ProMaster chassis, I think. It just, going up hills, you want to accelerate from 60 to 80, going up a 9% grade, no problem.
Yeah,
just go.
It's effortless, and in a ProMaster, it kind of does this. Yes, it does.
You ProMaster owners know what we're talking about.
Doesn't happen in the Transit. The Transit's just chill, and it'll just take anything you want to give at it on a climb.
Yeah,
so that's fun.
The other thing that was really impressive about it is the cruise control. This has a cruise control that you can set to an actual number. With ProMaster, the cruise control is more of it's a suggestion. You know, I'd like to go 75, but really anything between 60 and 80 is what you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
So no, with this, if you say 75, you will go 75 all the time. Uphill, downhill, doesn't matter. You will go 75.
But not just that, it has adaptive cruise control. And I've heard people talk about adaptive cruise control, but now that I've driven it, it changes the drive experience completely. You know, when you come up on a semi that's going slower, the EKKO just adjusts to however far you set it to be behind that until you get out of the lane to pass, and then it goes again. And I cannot tell you how that changes the comfort level of driving. It's just cool.
Well, you're not always looking in your sight thinking, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, because if he doesn't hurry up, it's okay. So the adaptive cruise control was cool. Now, it does have blind spot monitoring, which is a Winnebago ad, which is little lights that show up if there's someone kind of in your blind spot.
Yeah.
That was not. It was interesting.
Yeah, I came to depend on the one on the passenger side when I wanted to come back in front of a semi after I'd passed a semi, because then I could tell if it was clear to get over. So I like that feature.
Yeah. So now, but again, in comparison to a B, this is a little bit bigger, and so definitely more susceptible to winds, like crosswinds in here. We've been driving a lot out west. It's been pretty windy, and so you'll notice it more. It's not hard to drive in the wind, but you will notice it more than in a front-wheel drive Class B. Absolutely.
Yep. The winds were one thing. Turning radius was another. It wasn't as good as the ProMaster. It's okay, but ProMaster wins for turning
radius. Yeah, you got to get used to taking a little more to turn around.
Yeah.
So let's talk about mileage, because everybody's asking this. So on our trip back, so we've been averaging somewhere between 11 and 12 right now. And I haven't done the math. I'm just relying on the dash. Right now, it's sitting at 12 miles per gallon.
Yep.
But we have seen it, again, we're out west, so the speed limits are 80, the winds are ripping, and the mountains are tall, so I'm hopeful that people that drive around in Florida or something will be able to get better mileage than what we're getting.
Yeah, I think you will, if you're not, hauling butt like we've been. But also there's some wind noise up front. We're getting some wind noise. We assume that's coming from the cab. And we're coming from Lance too. Again, I don't know how much we should say about the wind noise, because you've done so much work to quiet Lance. But it's louder than Lance. There's no rattles. The body, when you walk back to this bedroom, it's actually
quieter back here.
It's crazy quiet when you walk back to this bedroom when somebody's driving along. Not that we recommend doing that, but
yeah. Speaking of handling, there are different modes for the all-wheel drive, and we've played with maybe 3 of them. First is normal mode, which is just default, and that's fine. Then there's an eco mode, which actually kind of slows down your shifting a little bit. It's not as quick to upshift or downshift, and it's keeping things more smooth and maybe saving you a little bit on gas. I haven't really been able to correlate that too much with the MPG. But then we also got into some mud just for giggles. And,
mud rut mode. That's when it applies torque to every single wheel, maximum torque. And we would have been stuck in Lance. I mean, let's admit it.
Yeah. But anyway, it got plenty muddy.
Yeah.
Let's see.
The backup cam. So I'm kind of a reluctant backer-upper, and I really appreciate the big screen. And that big. I could see really well, and it really boosted my confidence with backing up, that I could see really well in the backup cam.
So now the backup cam, though, does not have the little, this is where your car is going to go kind of lines on the screen, right?
Yeah.
It's just a screen. And it also, no matter what I tried with every setting on the dash, I could not get it to come on except when the vehicle is in reverse. That's really the only time the backup cam is active, is when you're in reverse. So, but Apple CarPlay, we both thoroughly enjoyed and love.
So seat adjustments is another thing, and I'm giving the nod to the Transit for having seat and steering wheel adjustments. I find it, I don't know, we haven't even talked about this, I think it's more comfortable than the seat. The seat and the steering wheel is more comfortable, and perhaps that's because the steering wheel, I can get it closer to me than I can in Lance, but I find it, I like driving this, and I like the seated position that I can get myself in the Transit. I really like the ProMaster too. It's hard to compare because the ProMaster is such a pleasure to drive, but this seat is really comfortable too.
But I kind of wish there were some things different about the seats. They don't turn so great. We haven't figured out how to get them to turn very well. We have to open the doors, and then the other thing is, like, if you want to lean the seat back, in a lot of cars there's like a lever you pull and then you just lean the seat back. It's a little dial. It's
that's those the circle. Yeah, I don't love that either. And let's see what else on that. There's the leg room getting up, having that center cab.
The center console, that's another nit to pick at there. The center console in the Transit is quite a bit bigger, and so you really got to thread the needle with your legs to get them through so you can come back around to the back.
Yeah, but overall, the handling, the drive in general, I'm happy with.
Yeah, it doesn't handle quite as well as Lance, but Lance is very special, but it handles perfectly fine, and power-wise, it puts any ProMaster to shame. So I'm quite content with how it drives. Okay, now I want to talk about the electrical systems, and this is a huge topic, and I'm just going to scratch the surface of a couple things here. I realize we haven't had time to do a lot of detailed experiments, so there'll be additional videos coming later on where I get into like the nitty-gritty of things. But I just wanted to give you a couple observations about the electrical components here. So this coach had 2 batteries and no generator. And the first thing I noticed, and this was unusual for me because usually in these lithium powered rigs with a lot of lithium battery capacity, I don't pay much attention to solar, but there's enough solar on the roof in this coach that solar will, with the exception of air conditioning, that solar will keep pace with whatever you're using day to day. You could go on almost indefinitely with just solar power as long as it's reasonably sunny. We've charged up when I didn't expect we would. So the solar on this one, thumbs up, which is unusual because I wouldn't have expected that much. And then the second thing I want to point out is this inverter, the Xantrex 2000 watt inverter. One thing I noticed that I was able to determine with the Lithionics battery app is that inverter has a standby power draw of only 27 watts. There we go, the microwave kicked on. Only 27 watts, not like 200 like some other ones that I've come across. 27 watts. That's almost to the level where you could literally leave that thing on 24/7 and you'd be fine with it. So, like I said, there's a whole lot more to get into with the electrical, and I'm not going to do that in this video because this is like a first impressions in camping video. And as far as camping goes, we're A-okay with this. So, okay. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this first look at camping in the Winnebago EKKO.
Yeah, it's been a great experience. We've learned a lot of the things that we like, things we want to mod, and I can't wait till we get ours.
I can't wait to start modifying ours.
I'm looking forward to camping in ours too, not just modifying.
Okay, fine. I'll give you some of that too. Anyway, that's going to do it. We'll see you later. Bye.